Every woman's a potential murderess. Didn't you know that? The Other Woman was not just another noir thriller. It was a disturbing mirror of Hollywood's own secrets. Behind the camera, Otto Preminger's temper burned hot. Cleo Moore's nerves frayed, and the studio trembled under the weight of scandal. What appeared on screen as mystery and sin was built from pain and power struggles. The set was not a film shoot. It was a battlefield. What audiences never knew was how real the darkness became. Here are 15 shocking secrets about The Other Woman, 1954. You never knew, ending with a bonus fact too wild to believe. Let's begin. Fact number 15. Cleo Moore's fear was real. During the tense blackmail scenes, Cleo Moore's fear was not an act. Otto Preminger was known for emotional cruelty. He taunted her, humiliated her, and refused breaks until she broke down. Crew members said he wanted her voice trembling for authenticity. When she begged for rest, he barked, "Keep the camera rolling." Her shaking hands and tearful face were captured truthfully because she was terrified. Each night, she left the set pale and silent. The realism praised by critics came from torment, not method acting. What audiences called brilliant performance was in fact a woman collapsing on film. Fact number 14. Otto Preminger's double life. Otto Preminger did not just direct The Other Woman, he lived it. The movie mirrored his own controversial history with actresses. Insiders whispered that he modeled the story after his private affairs and power games. He had a reputation for manipulation and control both on and off screen. Some claimed he used the movie to confess his sins without admitting guilt. Hollywood executives were terrified of defamation suits. They begged him to tone it down, but he refused. "Let them guess who it is," he said coldly. The film became a scandal in disguise, a coded confession that exposed the director's cruelty under the mask of art. Fact number 13. A dangerous set accident. During one late-night shoot, a heavy lighting rig crashed inches from Cleo Moore and Hugo Haas. The noise echoed like gunfire. Crew members ran for their lives. Haas accused the crew of negligence, shouting that someone wanted him hurt. Rumors spread instantly. Some whispered sabotage, others blamed exhausted workers and faulty equipment. The accident halted filming for 2 days, and insurance investigators swarmed the set. Haas threatened to quit, but Otto convinced him to stay by doubling his pay. Afterward, guards were stationed at every soundstage door. The cast started calling the production The Cursed Woman. No one laughed. The fear was real, and the shadow of that collapse haunted every scene that followed. Fact number 12. The script was too close to reality. The original title was The Director's Affair, and it scared the studio chiefs. The story of a powerful filmmaker exploiting an actress felt too familiar in the gossip-filled corridors of Hollywood. The censorship board called it dangerous, claiming it could damage the reputation of the industry. Otto Preminger ignored them. He said he would rather risk his career than hide the truth. Rewrites were ordered, but he filmed the raw draft anyway. Some scenes were removed after preview screenings, yet the spirit of rebellion stayed intact. The movie exposed how women were used and discarded in show business long before the world was ready to admit it. What audiences saw was fiction. What Otto filmed was confession. Fact number 11. Cleo Moore's final scene was changed overnight. Cleo Moore originally filmed a shocking death scene, strangled in silence by the director's hands. Early test audiences were horrified. Some left the theater in tears, others called it indecent. The studio panicked. Overnight, Otto was told to change the ending to suggest suicide instead of murder. Moore protested, saying it ruined her greatest moment as an actress. She cried during reshoots, refusing to speak to anyone. Years later, she told a reporter, "They took away the only scene I believed in. The alternate cut disappeared, possibly destroyed to prevent scandal." The final version softened the crime, but erased the raw terror that once made the film unforgettable. Fact number 10. The studio tried to bury the film. When The Other Woman wrapped, shooting studio executives panicked. The final cut was bleak and disturbing, and executives feared backlash from censors and moral groups. It exposed how Hollywood exploited women and destroyed careers. Otto Preminger refused to make changes. He told the studio if they want comfort, they can watch something else. The board considered shelving the film completely, calling it too scandalous for release. Rumors spread that rival producers paid to delay its distribution. Otto threatened legal action and demanded full control. In the end, the movie was quietly released, with almost no marketing. Many theaters refused to show it. Critics who saw it were divided, some praising its honesty, others calling it poison on celluloid. The scandal only fueled its legend. For Otto, it was a battle for truth. For Cleo Moore, it was the beginning of the end of her career. The studio wanted silence, but the film refused to die. Fact number 9. Cleo Moore's career collapsed after release. Before The Other Woman, Cleo Moore was Columbia Pictures' rising blonde star, known for glamour and confidence. After the film, her career spiraled downward. Gossip columnists branded her difficult and accused her of emotional instability on set. Otto Preminger's manipulation followed her into interviews and tabloids. Casting agents stopped calling. Her performance was too raw, too unsettling for a system built on charm. She believed Otto had sabotaged her to maintain control. In one rare interview, she said, "He wanted me broken so the camera could love the pieces. The film that should have made her a serious actress instead marked her as a liability." Within 2 years, she left Hollywood completely and vanished into quiet domestic life. Fans wondered why such a talented actress disappeared, but few knew the truth. The Other Woman did not make her famous, it ended her dream. The movie became her warning to every starlet who followed. Fact number 8. Otto Preminger fought censorship alone. The censors hated The Other Woman. They claimed it was indecent, immoral, and dangerous to audiences. The story showed manipulation, sexual coercion, and revenge in a way that made the industry uncomfortable. Otto Preminger fought every edit line by line, refusing to remove a single scene. He told the Production Code Board that life was already worse than anything in his movie. The argument lasted weeks and delayed the release. The studio begged him to surrender, but Otto stood alone. He declared that art should disturb, not soothe. Eventually, he won after cutting only seconds of footage, but the damage was done. Hollywood labeled him a troublemaker once again. His victory set a precedent for artistic defiance. The Other Woman became a small but vital step in challenging censorship that later opened doors for directors in the 60s. Otto paid the price for freedom, but he never bowed to control again. Fact number 7. Hugo Haas nearly quit over creative clashes. Hugo Haas played the guilt-ridden filmmaker, but his relationship with Otto Preminger disintegrated quickly. Haas wanted subtle emotion. Otto demanded violent expression. Rehearsals turned into shouting matches that echoed through the soundstage. Crew members claimed Haas once walked off set, yelling, "He is not directing, he is destroying." Otto refused to apologize. Their conflict created unbearable tension during filming. Some scenes were shot in complete silence between takes because neither man would speak. Ironically, that tension gave the movie its haunted tone. The director and actor became mirrors of their characters, locked in a struggle for dominance. Haas wanted sympathy. Otto wanted cruelty. By the final week, Haas refused extra takes and left the wrap party early. He never worked with Preminger again. The performance that made him unforgettable also ended their collaboration forever. What audiences saw as method acting was, in truth, a real war fought through every line. Fact number 6. The set became a psychological experiment. The Other Woman was filmed like a psychological trial, not a traditional production. Otto Preminger controlled every aspect of his cast's emotions. He adjusted lighting to create discomfort, kept the studio freezing cold, and banned laughter between takes. He wanted tension to live in their faces. Crew members said he treated the shoot like therapy through pain. Cleo Moore and Hugo Haas were constantly off balance, unsure what was real and what was direction. Some days, he refused to call cut, letting silence stretch until actors broke down. The crew began keeping count of tears shed per day as a grim joke. Critics later admired the movie's realism, but few knew it came from emotional exhaustion. When filming ended, most of the cast refused interviews. Otto called it honesty on film. Others called it cruelty, disguised as art. It was not a movie set. It was a psychological experiment in suffering. Fact number 5. The film's music was composed in secret. The haunting score of The Other Woman came from a composer who refused credit out of fear of blacklisting. The studio had wanted a light, jazzy sound, typical of the era, but Otto Preminger rejected it. He wanted something darker, something that echoed guilt. He hired an uncredited European composer who worked under pseudonym at night, recording eerie cues in a rented studio. The sessions were conducted in near darkness, using minimal instruments to mirror the film's emotional isolation. When the soundtrack was finally heard, executives called it too depressing and demanded it be changed. Otto refused and threatened to quit. The composer's name vanished from the credits, replaced by a studio alias. The uncredited work gave the movie its pulse, the slow rhythm of doom that followed every frame. The music became a ghost in its own story, haunting Hollywood with notes no one dared to claim. Fact number 4. The real blackmail rumor. During production, a shocking rumor spread that The Other Woman was inspired by a real blackmail case involving a famous Hollywood director and an aspiring actress. Otto Preminger denied it publicly, but insiders whispered that he had borrowed entire scenes from real legal files. Studio executives received anonymous letters warning them to drop the film or face exposure. The crew began calling the shoot the evidence. Some claimed Otto had seen those court documents himself and used them as research. Others said he simply enjoyed the idea of making fiction feel criminal. Reporters tried to trace the story, but the files disappeared mysteriously. Otto stayed silent, saying only, "Truth is the best disguise." Whether true or not, the rumor gave the movie a forbidden power. Audiences felt they were watching something stolen from real life. Every frame carried the pulse of a secret Hollywood tried to erase, but never could. Fact number 3. Cleo Moore's mirror scene was not in the script. One of the most unforgettable scenes shows Cleo Moore staring into a mirror, whispering about her sins. That moment was not scripted. It happened after a brutal argument between Cleo and Otto Preminger. In fury, Otto told the cameraman to roll without warning. Cleo began speaking to herself, trembling and exhausted from hours of retakes. Otto stayed silent, letting her unravel. The entire crew stood still. When it ended, he said, "That is the movie." The scene stayed exactly as filmed, raw and unfiltered. Critics later praised its realism, without realizing it was born from real emotional collapse. Cleo later admitted she did not remember shooting it. That mirror moment became her career's defining image. What was meant to humiliate her turned into one of the most haunting sequences in noir history, where an actress stopped acting and simply lived her pain on camera, forever captured without mercy. Fact number 2. The film's banned screening in Europe. When The Other Woman premiered in Europe, it caused uproar. Censors in France and Italy banned it outright, claiming it insulted the film industry and portrayed women as manipulative sinners. In West Germany, the film was screened once, then pulled from theaters, under pressure from religious groups. The controversy made it even more popular underground. Bootleg reels circulated among film students and critics who saw it as a hidden masterpiece. Otto Preminger called it the most honest picture I ever made. Some European critics defended it as a feminist tragedy, exposing male power and guilt. Others condemned it as filth. The debate lasted years until the film vanished from circulation completely. For decades, it was impossible to find. Only a restored copy resurfaced in the late 90s, reigniting discussion about its boldness and cruelty. The world finally saw what the censors feared: the mirror of their own corruption. Fact number 1. Otto Preminger's guilt followed him for life. Otto Preminger claimed he never regretted The Other Woman, but friends told another story. He often avoided mentioning the film and refused to screen it publicly. Some said he feared it revealed too much of himself. In private, he called it a confession wrapped in fiction. After Cleo Moore left Hollywood, Otto reportedly sent her a letter of apology that she never answered. In his later years, he became reclusive, avoiding interviews about his early films. When asked about The Other Woman, he said only, "It was true." The guilt lingered, like the movie's final frame, frozen in moral darkness. For Otto, it was not just another project, it was a reckoning. The movie exposed the heart of his ambition and the cost of control. What began as a story about manipulation became his own reflection. a mirror he could never break, no matter how hard he tried. Bonus fact: the lost negative. For decades, The Other Woman was nearly impossible to find, because the original film negative vanished from the studio vault. Rumors claimed Otto Preminger ordered it destroyed. Others believed a studio executive buried it to silence controversy. When archivists searched in the 70s, they discovered only fragments mislabeled under a different title. The surviving print came from a single copy stored in a private collection of a retired projectionist who had saved it from disposal. That discovery rescued the film from oblivion. The print was restored and preserved, but the original negative remains missing to this day. Some historians think Otto himself hid it out of shame. Others call it poetic justice, that the film about guilt and disappearance would itself disappear. Its survival feels like fate, a ghost rescued from its own director's conscience, still whispering the truth Hollywood tried to forget, but never could. The Other Woman remains one of Hollywood's most haunting confessions. Beneath its shadows lies a story of power, cruelty, and guilt that predicted scandals decades ahead. Every frame is a bruise, every line a secret carved in celluloid. If you discovered something new today, give this video a like, share it with fellow film lovers. And remember, sometimes the darkest stories were never meant to be told.